The budget presentation is ever closer, and well, revenue mobilization could be the finance minister's biggest challenge as he prepares to do so tomorrow, which is the budget which is likely to be christened a Juma budget. One of the highlights of the 2018 budget would be the projected revenue for next year. This is why many analysts will be looking forward to see how government plans to raise the required revenue to finance its rising expenditure. So what would the finance minister be able to pass, or will the finance minister rather be able to pass the test when he presents the 2018 budget? We've been trying to seek answers in the following report.
Government is planning to embark on some massive industrialization programs and grow the agricultural sector with its one district, one factory and planting for food and jobs from next year. All these policies need to be funded. Will it come from donors, the private sector, or revenue raised locally? However, the current challenges with revenue, it is not likely that government would want to depend on revenue locally to support these policies. It is believed that if government raises, let's say, 10 Ghana cedis, about 90% of this money will be used to pay salaries, service loans, as well as statutory payments, leaving little for any infrastructure project or some of these social intervention programs it is implementing. Government was hoping to raise some 45 billion Ghana cedis in revenue. As of July, it has collected 21 billion cedis, 3 billion Ghana cedis short of what it has programmed, raising concerns that it will struggle to meet the end-of-year target, a development that could affect the amount of money available for the state to spend in the first quarter of 2018, which has normally been described as the dry season. For government that is committed to reducing the cost of doing business, increasing taxes in this year's budget is out of the plan for now.
We are deploying technology. In fact, if you look at the tax stamps, there's an important IT element in it. The economic point of sale device is to ensure that as people trade at points of sale, the records of their businesses are actually registered on the server for GRA, so that we are not now come to you to make to file your returns, and then we need to debate you on how much, and sometimes these are not properly declared and government lose revenue. This time round, as you trade, they register on the tax authorities server. And so we just come to you to say these are your tax liabilities you need to pay. So we're going to deploy technology to ensure that the compliance measures work and that we would not have the need to increase taxes, and I would rather have the opportunity to abolish more taxes as we rake in more revenue.
But for Professor Newman Kosi, director of the Institute of Fiscal Studies, looking at the way the economy is expanding is a demonstration that there are a lot of areas that can be taxed. He tells Joy Business it's all about commitment to implementing these policies that will help us address this revenue challenge.
Well, it's commitment to implement, the policies, monitor and ensure that we achieve the target that we set. We will identify, the various areas, that need to be looked at so that we can bring them into the tax base to increase the tax base and therefore be able to increase the massive revenue.
Well, November 15 might just be some hours away as to how the finance minister will deal with this revenue mobilization challenge. Will he press ahead with the tax exemptions or finally abolish all of them to improve the situation? How will this compliance drive be implemented so it will not come across as new taxes for consumers? The finance minister is hoping to use the 2018 budget to industrialize the economy, transform the agricultural sector, create jobs and develop skills.
Well, still to do with revenue and the 2018 budget, and the minority in Parliament has alleged that government plans to tax mobile money transactions as part of efforts to improve revenue for the country. According to the Bank of Ghana, mobile money deposits in banks have reached more than 2 billion cedis as of September this year. We've been picking the thoughts of Chief Executive of the Telecoms Chamber, Ken Ashby, on this. He tells us that there has been no engagement from government on this matter, and it would be unfortunate if government should go ahead to do this. He spoke on the marketplace.
This is a government that has waived the taxes that are on
financial services,
which the incidence was more on the middle to the upper class. Then you would not expect that, we would tax mobile money where the incidence is on the masses. You would think that same people who do not have bank accounts but are operating mobile money accounts virtually as their store of their banks. You would expect that the same benefit that me and you who have bank accounts get would also be extended to them. So there's been no engagement, but we believe that with that same philosophy that the government did, with financial services, the same thing would apply to mobile money as well, and there will be no taxes. That's definitely, as an industry, we're hoping that would happen.
No taxes, that is the expectation. But
yes.
What has been the concerns of your members? If finally government will obviously have the final say on it, that's just like how they say in Parliament, with respect to this tax. Are you prepared for it? What are your members saying? Well, possible tax on mobile money?
I think it will be, just to put it bluntly, it will be very unfortunate, because you see, the thing about it is that yes, government needs to raise a lot more revenue, and you would believe that mobile money is one way of formalizing the economy. Government has been talking about digitization, so you would want to say that you would use mobile money to push digitization. Government has been talking about, that this whole conversation that paperless happened, and immediately paperless happened, taxes went up because compliance improved. You would think that government would also want to use this to rake in a lot more revenue. But let's bear in mind that most of the transactions that happen on mobile money is between merchants and agents, and virtually 0%, about 75 to 85%. So basically what you're looking at is about 25%, and whatever tax you place on that is going to go and affect the consumer. And George, if you're sending money to your grandmother, you'd already have paid your taxes on that. And also, let's bear in mind, mobile money employs a lot of people, and the implication of that tax itself, the signal it would give to people, it would mean that a lot more people would opt out of that. It would affect jobs that are going to be created. And also, let's bear in mind that these agents and merchants, when these transactions happen, government earns some withholding tax on the commissions that are paid to them. So already there's some tax even in that.
All right, so let's paint the picture for you as to what we expect the finance minister to say tomorrow. Now, the presentation of the budget and economic policy statement is expected to focus on macroeconomic stability, transforming agriculture and industry, as well as strengthening social protection and inclusion. Here are some highlights of the projected budget allocations in the 2018 budget. Let's take you to the Ashanti region now, where business owners say the operations are negatively being impacted by the 3% VAT flat rate. Government announced a tax in the 2017 budget, and ahead of tomorrow's budget presentation, the business owners are asking government to scrap it. General Secretary of the Ashanti Business Owners Association, Marcos Ebuache, also called on government to rather consider deducting VAT from manufacturing and point of entry.
Okay, our concern is that with this 3% flat rate, we can no more trade among ourselves. If someone has a product, the person has to add 3%. You have to buy at the 3% inclusive and also add another 3%, which will make it impossible. By looking at the nature of our business, it is one person who buys the bulk and he breaks the bulk for us also to support. We all sell at the same price and get the profit. So this 3% flat rate makes it impossible for us to trade among ourselves. Number two, assuming that you sold something, a product to somebody, and after some time the person is not able to sell, the person has to reverse the transaction, bring you the goods. With the 3%, you've already taken the 3% and paid to the government. How is it going to be so? We can't do it that way. The other aspect is looking at the shelf life of our products, which you have to hurry up in selling. At times, especially at times, it calls for you to reduce your price and lose. Because if you don't lose small, you lose big. So losing it, the government says that whether you are losing or not, you have to take the 3% and give it to the government, which makes it very difficult for you also to dispose of that product that you want to sell.
Well, this story will lead us into tax issues because the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development estimates that about as much as $240 billion every year is lost in tax revenue as a result of tax avoidance techniques. Now, since 2014, a huge number of documents, including the Panama Papers and the recent Paradise Papers, have been leaked by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, unveiling how tax evasion and avoidance have become standard business practice across the globe. As Ghana seeks to expand the tax base, the Executive Director of the Commonwealth Association of Tax Administrators, Duncan Ondoro, suggests joint efforts to curb the growing menace.
The recent Paradise Papers hit closer to home as the leaked financial data revealed how ex-President John Mahama's brother, Ibrahim Mahama, secretly invested huge sums of money in an offshore tax haven. Ibrahim Mahama reportedly had an offshore company, Red Sky Aviation Limited, which was used to hold a $7 million Bombardier Challenger jet. The surge in such cases of tax evasion has raised concerns about how governments can ensure that nations get their due in revenue. Speaking to Joy Business, the Executive Director of the Commonwealth Association of Tax Administrators, Duncan Ondoro, suggested transparency and collaboration among governments is the sure way to deal with it.
This will only be addressed through international coordination that is currently going on. If you look, for example, at the base erosion and profit shifting initiative, the focus is on exchange of information. The moment we can exchange information, country by country reporting, we have reporting maybe under FATCA, we have beneficial ownership reporting, then we will be able to, unveil or lift the veil out of these companies whose shareholding are shrouded because of the several layers they use to make sure that they launder their funds to those destinations. So it requires international effort. And not only that, nobody comes and hides his money in Africa. The money in Africa is held in those big economies or those small island economies, but who have the big economies behind them. So we first of all need to initiate conversation with the larger economies, but also with the smaller economies, the foreign jurisdiction where people used to do their own businesses. We also have to focus on that. We are happy that under the global transparency initiative, now countries are subscribing to certain international standards of transparency.
It is believed that the rule in taxation must be fairness and equality. Anything short of that, for example, makes huge companies and the most powerful in society get away with paying little or nothing at all, while ordinary citizens are burdened with the bill of government spending. As government launches the national tax campaign to enhance compliance and boost revenue collection, there's a call for the Ghana Revenue Authority and lawmakers to end the era of tax havens in order to accrue more revenue for national development. Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
We are turning to the telecom sector now, and the Communication Workers Union is prevailing on the new management of Airtel Tigo to allow workers of the merged entity to join labor unions. This is coming just after management unveiled the new telecoms brand yesterday at an engagement with the workers as part of activities towards finalizing the measure. Let's hear from Joseph Hotor, who is with the Communication Workers Union.
You know, not all managements are friendly to union, but you see, the union rather helps management more. Oh. Yes, because, you know, we have the collective agreement and we also have this marriage code. Definitely, the company also have his rules of engagement before taking you on. And we make sure that those people work within set targets. We are always with them. We always want to keep them in line according to company policies. So, you know, the union is a good thing, but management think the union is there to cause trouble. This time is organic time. No, it's no longer those times that the analog way of doing chogwe. Yes, even though the union has that militancy thing there, it is about sitting down and engaging and also dialoguing on issues. Now we are being regulated by the various labor laws. You don't go and then shout. Even if you shout, you come back to the table.
In other news tonight, Ghanaians can now enjoy world-class homes at highly affordable prices with the construction of 2,000 units of houses at the Apollonia City, which is expected to reduce the housing deficit in the country. The project is a partnership between Apollonia City and Ghana Home Loans, and the first 100 units are expected to be completed within 18 months. Faudia to Adam was at a sod cutting ceremony today and reports.
I'm here this morning because the project is in line with government's vision of using an appropriate mix of public policy and private public investments to deliver quality, affordable social housing and private housing solutions that meets the needs and financial capacity of the ordinary Ghanaian. Government recognizes the dream of all Ghanaians to own a home, and at least to have decent rental accommodation. With a housing deficit of over 1.7 million units, the Apollonia City project is one of several initiatives that will be introduced along the housing value to attain an effective, efficient, and sustainable housing sector. With the construction of the first 100 homes beginning this month, I'm happy to note that the Apollonia community is a shareholder within Apollonia City. Contractors working on the building projects are also to employ and provide skills training to members of the community. It is a laudable initiative, a model I want to encourage others to emulate. The government I lead is a natural cheerleader for the private sector, and we should do all we can to provide the enabling environment for the private sector to flourish in Ghana. I promise the private partners of this project that Ghana will be a great place to do business under my watch. The sector minister will work with you to address any challenges that may arise during the implementation of the project.
All right, so that was actually the president speaking at the commissioning of the project by Apollonia City. From there, he went to the opening of the Octagon Business and Retail Center in the heart of Accra. And here's Charles Aite's report.
The official opening of the Octagon edifice is part of government's efforts to boost the private sector and also to strengthen relationship with industry players in the private industry. Authorities here say that this very edifice is aimed at boosting the financial sector here at the heart of Accra, as it engages both private and informal sector in the wake of government's policy to drive in infrastructural and industrial change. Located in the heart of Accra, the Octagon is surrounded by offices of major financial institutions, the courthouses as well as the City House. Its construction started in 2011 when contractors of Dream Realty Construction Works negotiated with the then mayor of Accra, Alfred Okuvendapoy. The former mayor could not hide his excitement seeing the realization of the projects he initiated while in office.
The other businesses within the community who would also want to use this land here, but journey through it, the need to stay focused, with the agenda of providing a project that can provide space for so many businesses in the future. Taking the land to a higher level usage for the benefit of the city itself. And that, for me, was the ultimate goal.
Commissioning the edifice, President Akufo-Addo was hopeful the Octagon will facilitate more business transactions.
The initiative, the private enterprise, the initiative that has gone into bringing this edifice into being is one we should all celebrate. Believe that situation whereby individuals have the vision, the capacity to bring about this kind of development. That is the vision that we're looking to build our country with.
Karim Jamil Ibrahim is Managing Director of Dream Realty. He explains to Joy Business the essence of the edifice to Ghana's financial market.
When you go to a foreign country and you are looking for a local partner, the most important thing is trust. And this is what we found with the factories who owns already Interplast here, the factory. And this is the main reason. Accra also is, in our opinion, the most stable country in West Africa and the most politically stable country in West Africa. And we come from Lebanon, which is very unstable politically. So that was one of the main things we were looking for. And that's why Accra.
One cannot avoid a view of the magnificent edifice from the Independence Avenue and the Barnes Road. The Octagon stands right across the street from the 5-star Novotel Hotel and Mervenpick Ambassador Hotel as well as Kempinski Hotel.
You may want to visit the Octagon Business and Retail Center one of these days. Let's move on now to our interview of the day. And the Broadband Communications Chamber is demanding government reviews the licensing regime for broadband. This, according to the chamber, is critical in not only improving accessibility of internet service, but also bringing prices down. Consumers have been complaining about high prices of data in the country. Now, the CEO of Broadband Communications Chamber, Elom Gustav Tamaklo, says the trend could be reversed if government would make licensing procedures less rigorous and more affordable. He spoke to Joy Business at a press conference to announce the first edition of the Broadband Ghana Forum.
We have the Eastern Corridor. That's the fiber optic bag which was inaugurated last year, and they are working on the west. We have the Western Corridor also, but that alone is not enough. In terms of capacity, it's something that we are improving. But if you look at the current statistics from ITU in 2016, Ghana has only 34.7% of internet users in Ghana. Out of 29 million population, only 9.9 million have access or are internet users in Ghana. The question is, where are the rest? Why are the rest not internet users? Is it because of access? And we think yes. The answer is access. We need to improve accessibility in underserved and unserved areas so that we can increase more of our population to an internet usage. And if you're able to do that, the benefits are enormous. Once you can get them on, the benefits and innovations are enormous, and they can help spur Ghana's economy to the next level.
That'll be all tonight. Thanks for watching Business Live. My name is Darryl Kwa. We are back same time tomorrow. Do stay tuned.